Welcome back to GH Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the explosive new development rocking the Corinthos and Spencer households, Joss's secret life as a WSB operative and the betrayal that threatens to tear this family apart. 4 months now, Jocelyn Joss Jacks has been exhibiting behavior that's far too secretive for the daughter of two of Port Charles's most prominent figures. From the moment she turned 18, Joss vanished from her mother Carly's watchful eye for hours on end, citing workshops and special assignments with an ambiguous organization she refused to name. What Carly didn't realize was that her daughter had slipped quietly into the shadowy training grounds of the WSB, America's most covert intelligence service. Over several grueling months, Joss immersed herself in physical conditioning, surveillance tactics, code breaking, and weapon handling, all under the strictest oath of secrecy. She learned to tail targets without being seen, to manipulate digital communications, and to execute missions remotely, often halfway around the globe. Despite her youth, Joss showed remarkable aptitude. Her quick reflexes, photographic memory, and fearless determination made her one of the WSB's most promising new recruits. Yet she never confided in her mother, never shared a glimpse of her clandestine tuition. Instead, she returned to Port Charles each weekend under a guise of normal teenage life, homework, dinners with her parents, light-hearted banter about school. But children rarely manage two lives without leaving clues in their wake, and Carly Spencer, once a trained lawyer and now a seasoned veteran of the mob wars, is nothing if not perceptive. Over the past weeks, she noticed the telltale signs: Joss's vague answers whenever Carly asked where she'd been, the way Joss's smartphone screen dimmed too quickly when Carly appeared in the doorway, the sudden interest in self-defense classes that had no obvious connection to her art studies. At first, Carly chalked it up to typical teenage rebellion, kids these days and their secrets, right? Yet something gnawed at her motherly instincts. She sensed a darkness behind Joss's defiance, a hidden mission that went beyond ordinary adolescent pranks. Unable to shake her unease, Carly confided her worries to Jason Morgan, her husband, and the man who has spent his life navigating Port Charles's underworld. Jason listened quietly, absorbing every detail: Joss's odd phone habits, her furtive glances when Carly's questions edged too close. As a former hitman turned protector, Jason knows that secrets kill and that sometimes the greatest threats hide behind the faces we love most. With Carly's permission, he decided to act, but not with confrontation. He would gather proof first. Under cover of darkness, Jason slipped a miniature audio recorder no larger than a button into the pocket of Joss's jacket. He chose a device with military-grade encryption, capable of transmitting encrypted snippets directly to his secure line. Jason's plan was simple: record Joss's next clandestine meeting and learn exactly who she was meeting, what orders she was receiving, and why her life had become a lie. A few nights later, Joss slipped out of the Spencer mansion at precisely 11:42 p.m., her black hoodie pulled low, her gait confident. She ducked into an alley behind Kelly's dinette and pressed a concealed buzzer under a rusted mailbox. Seconds later, a black sedan rolled up, windows tinted. Out stepped Agent Brennan Scott, a WSB handler known for his smooth talk and moral flexibility. Joss and Brennan moved to a secluded corner, voices hushed. Thanks to the recorder, Jason overheard every chilling word. "Week 1 is done, Joss. Now that your performance was flawless, we need you to focus on intel gathering in London. Make contact with our asset at the embassy, extract the documents, and disappear." The mention of asset and embassy was enough to confirm Joss's role in high-stakes espionage. Jason's heart pounded as he realized the full scope of his stepdaughter's peril. The WSB didn't take amateurs or sentimental fools, they exploited them. And here was Joss, child of his wife's former partner Sonny and heir to a legacy of blood and deception, caught in a game that could drown her in lies or worse. He slipped away, recorder in hand, and raced home to Carly. When Jason revealed the recordings to Carly, her face went pale. The woman who had fought for justice in a courtroom now trembled at the thought of her daughter forced into international espionage. "How could she keep something like this from me?" Carly whispered, tears welling. And why would Brennan involve her? The answer was simple but brutal: leverage. Determined to confront the truth head-on, Carly arranged to meet Joss at the mansion's garden terrace. The moonlight cast long shadows across the marble floor as mother and daughter faced off. Carly's voice, though controlled, cracked with anguish. "Joss, what is going on? Who are you working for?" Joss's eyes filled with panic. She pressed her hands to her temples and finally admitted the unthinkable. Brennan had found a way to blackmail her. He possessed incontrovertible proof that Joss had once killed Cyrus Renault in self-defense during a chaotic altercation. Brennan threatened to expose her to the authorities, ruin her mother's reputation, and destroy the Spencer empire unless Joss joined the WSB. He said if I ever refused, he'd hand over the recording to the federal investigators. Joss choked out. "I had no choice." Carly's fury flared. She had warned Joss about trusting men like Brennan, men who promised loyalty but relished manipulation. Without a moment's hesitation, Carly slapped her daughter across the face, a sharp, resounding crack that echoed through the silent garden. "Get out of the WSB," Carly hissed, voice low and fierce. "You will never risk your life or your soul for that man again." Joss stood motionless, tears streaming, but the defiance in her eyes remained. Before any reconciliation could begin, Carly turned to leave, holding back sobs of her own. Not content to stop with Joss, Carly made a decision that would reverberate through every corner of Port Charles. Her relationship with Brennan was over. She marched back into the mansion, found Brennan in the study, and without preamble, told him she knew everything. Brennan, once so charming and composed, looked as if a dagger had pierced his chest. Carly's voice was ice cold as she pronounced the end of their romance. "I will never forgive you for what you did. You used my daughter as a pawn. Pack your things." Brennan stammered apologies, but Carly would hear none of it. She ordered him out, banned him from her home, and called Jason to escort him away. In the days that followed, Port Charles buzzed with rumors. Joss retreated to Sonny's penthouse across town, where he offered his unconditional support. Carly, bruised by betrayal but steely in her determination, began investigating legal avenues to remove Brennan's leverage, seeking to destroy any evidence he held of Joss's past. Meanwhile, Joss made contact with a trusted WSB liaison, insisting on withdrawal from active duty and safe extraction from the agency. The WSB, reluctant to lose a valuable asset but unwilling to risk exposure, reluctantly agreed on one condition: Joss must testify against Brennan in any federal inquiry. As GH viewers tune in next week, the fallout from these revelations will intensify. Will Joss sacrifice her anonymity to publicly expose Brennan's blackmail? Can Carly protect her daughter from federal scrutiny and the criminal underworld that always circles the Spencer name? And what role will Jason play as protector, parent, and warrior for his shattered family? One thing is certain: in Port Charles, secrets are currency, and betrayal is the deadliest weapon of all. Next, we will learn about the issue bubbling beneath the surface of Drew Kane's alliance, and exactly how his right-hand man, Ezra Boyle, might soon turn the tables. Ezra Boyle's rise to power and inevitable rebellion. Spoilers indicate that Ezra could fight back and gain the upper hand down the road, transforming from dutiful sidekick into a full-fledged power player in Port Charles politics. Imagine Ezra secretly compiling dossiers on every one of Drew's confidants, Trina, Michael, even Laura herself, and quietly slipping them to the press. Behind the scenes, viewers might glimpse Ezra meeting with a shadowy fixer in the Metro Court bar, drafting smear campaigns that would make even Helena Cassadine jealous. If the show leans into this emerging rivalry, we could see dramatic scenes of Ezra cornering Drew in City Hall's corridors, flashing incriminating photos from his phone and demanding ever greater control over their schemes. The minion's breaking point. It's clear that Drew views Ezra as his minion, ordering him around like a petulant boss with a starry-eyed intern in tow. He instructs Ezra to leak a fake scandal about Julian's emergency fundraiser, to plant a false lead on Anna's police investigation, anything to ensure his grip on power.
Yet every boss risks a mutiny, and Ezra's simmering resentment may boil over. In one invented twist, we might see Ezra confide in his estranged brother, Lawrence Boyle, revealing that he's tired of being Drew's foot soldier and craving a chance at the big leagues. That clandestine phone call could mark the first step toward Ezra's calculated coup. When the pupil surpasses the teacher. Drew is the kind of guy who always thinks he's the smartest person in the room, but Ezra could be smarter than he anticipates. While Drew smirks at his own Machiavellian brilliance, Ezra has been quietly studying under the legendary Lucy Coe, absorbing lessons about manipulation and charm that even Drew never taught him. Picture a scene in which Ezra casually corrects Drew's political jargon at a campaign rally, publicly undermining his mentor with a few choice barbs disguised as witty banter. That moment could crystallize for Drew that his protege has not only matched his cunning but is ready to outclass him entirely. The ultimate power play, dismantling Drew's empire. If nothing else, Ezra could ultimately target Drew and dismantle his political career just like they're trying to do with Laura. In a chilling vision, Ezra might orchestrate a leak revealing that Drew accepted illicit campaign contributions from a shadowy biotech firm, one tied to Nina Reeves' latest schemes. As credit card receipts and clandestine meeting logs emerge online courtesy of Ezra's hackers, Drew's public standing would disintegrate overnight. We could even see conspiracy theorists in the PC Bulletin writing about a cane code scandal, and the hospital board demanding Drew answer for an alleged cover-up of patient records. Mirror image of deceit. Regardless, Ezra may be just as shady as Drew, so that could make him dangerous in more ways than one. Both men are masters of half-truths, but whereas Drew's lies are blunt instruments, Ezra fashions his near-perfect excuses an alchemy of flattery, intimidation, and feigned vulnerability. In a fresh subplot, writers could reveal Ezra's hidden ledger of favors owed to him, stretching back to his days in the city council. He might threaten to call in these markers against anyone who crosses him, Jordan Ashford, Ned Quartermain, or even Sonny Corinthos. Watching that secret book of sins burn could be one of this summer's most satisfying moments. A crime scene whodunit in the making. If Drew does get injured or face a grim fate in a mystery with multiple potential culprits, Ezra might rise to the top of the suspect list. The show has already teased about a possible whodunit for Drew, an attack staged in his own makeshift campaign headquarters, the shattered glass raining down on his suited frame. Imagine nurses discovering him unconscious on the marble floor, a cryptic clue scrawled in ink nearby, "You forgot to watch your back." With a lineup that includes Stacy, Anna, and our newly established villain Ezra, speculation boards will explode. Who had the motive? Who had the means? Ezra's fingerprints, both literal and figurative, could be the smoking gun. Hints of murder in Port Charles. The murky undertones of a looming "who attacked Drew Kane" storyline have been present since the whispered hallway conversations following Ezra's mayoral campaign gaffe. Remember that ominous shot of Ezra slipping out of the GH underground garage at midnight? That was no casual jog, it was a harbinger that he may be plotting something far more sinister than a smear campaign. If Drew wakes in a hospital bed with Jordan by his side, viewers will replay that scene, certain Ezra is linked to the crime. It's a masterful misdirection waiting to explode. Creating the monster within. That brings us back to the idea that Drew could be creating a monster, especially if Ezra decides he's done taking the congressman's orders. From the moment they shook hands in that dimly lit City Hall corner office, they both unleashed something darker than either anticipated. Drew may have intended to craft a loyal puppet, but all he did was forge the kindling for a greater conflagration: Ezra's ambition. In a clever callback to classic GH lore, the fatherly warnings once shared by Max Scorpio echo, "Mess with destiny, you might find it messes back." Drew is on the cusp of that reckoning. When alliances turn toxic. Now that Drew intends to help Ezra land in that mayoral spot, there's a chance this alliance could take a wrong turn at any moment. Visualize a clandestine wager struck beneath the marble columns of the courthouse steps. Ezra pledges his loyalty in return for Drew's promise of a cushy resonance in the congressman's inner circle.
But when push comes to shove, Ezra might just rewrite the terms, adding clauses about Drew's forced resignation and handing off his political donors to Boyle's new PAC.
That backroom deal could unravel at the next citywide protest, leaving both men exposed.
The sleazeball in the shadows. Ezra is a real sleazeball who knows how to get down in the mud, so he may become the threat Drew doesn't see coming.
We've seen him cozy up to local pundits, slip campaign flyers into unsuspecting road crews, and quietly bribe key GH staffers to feed false tips to the press. In a brand new invented twist, Ezra might even enlist the help of a disbarred attorney, someone like Tom Baker, to engineer legal woes for anyone in his way. His willingness to flout ethics is only matched by his hunger for power, making him both dangerous and unpredictably volatile. Underestimating the dark horse. However, Drew might be underestimating what Ezra is capable of.
While the congressman pats himself on the back after each circus-worthy stunt, like the time Ezra turned Mayor Laura Collins' press conference into a clown show, he overlooks the subtle games now unfolding behind closed doors. Where Drew sees a loyal minion, Ezra sees a stepping stone. Each press leak, every doctored video, is being cataloged by Boyle as future leverage. And when the moment is right, he'll pull that lever, sending Drew plummeting from grace. The great mayoral machination. From there, Drew wants Ezra to keep doing everything he says and essentially be his lackey, believing this will cement his own legacy in Port Charles. He envisions Ezra rallying crowds with chants of Kane for Congress, while printing campaign buttons glinting in the sunlight. What he fails to register is that those same crowds, when swayed by Ezra's more charismatic speeches, could just as easily chant Boyle for mayor.
In a brilliant invented montage, viewers might see Ezra mastering that hometown handshake, perfecting a charming wink for local TV, step by step eclipsing his mentor.
Why the press conference matters.
Between Ezra's efforts and Jordan Ashford's resignation, Drew had good reasons to make predictions about the destruction of Laura's political career.
Jordan's departure left a void in checks and balances, and Ezra capitalized on that vacuum by spilling rumors of Laura's alleged misuse of campaign funds.
In an entirely fresh subplot, we might learn that Ezra even paid off a minor cable news anchor to broadcast an exposé at just the right time, an exposé that saw Laura's poll numbers plummet as Drew cheered from the sidelines. That's textbook Kane Boyle scheming.
The circus at City Hall.
After Ezra turned Mayor Laura Collins' press conference into a total circus, Drew was tickled pink.
He watched the mayor struggle to field fake quotes planted by Ezra, saw her microphone cut out at the perfect moment, and reveled in the chaos. Yet that crowning moment of triumph may prove to be the high watermark for their partnership. In that very moment of triumph, Ezra saw not a puppet, but a king in need of dethroning, and a kingdom ripe for his own rule.
Ever since the alliance began. Ever since Drew formed this alliance with Councilman Ezra Boyle, they'd become quite the troublemaking duo. Flashbacks could reveal how they first bonded over late-night strategy sessions in the Franco Quarter.
Drew drafting policy and Ezra concocting PR stunts. New details might include Ezra slipping into Jacqueline's Opera House gala disguised as a waiter, or Drew leaking insider health news about Sonny Corinthos to distract from their real agenda. It was supposed to be the perfect marriage of brains and bravado until ambition warped into betrayal. A monster of Drew's own making. ABC General Hospital spoilers reveal that Drew Kane could be creating a monster. His confidence in molding Ezra into the perfect political weapon blinds him to the fact that he's actually forging a far more dangerous adversary. The alliance begins as a savvy two-man game, but ultimately becomes a cautionary tale of hubris. Once you summon a monster, you can't always control its hunger. Stay tuned, because as this saga unfolds, you won't want to miss the moment when Drew realizes the monster he created has grown far beyond his control.